It was the first snowfall of December when Daniel spotted her. He was sitting in his parked truck across from the old brick diner on Maple Street, nursing a cup of black coffee and trying to make sense of another day that felt too heavy for reasons he couldn't quite explain. The world outside was dusted in white, festive lights blinked from storefronts, and people bustled by in coats and scarves, their laughter muffled by the thick winter air. But she stood out, thin, shaking, wrapped in layers that didn't match and barely looked warm enough to fight the cold. Daniel noticed her because she moved slowly, deliberately, like someone trying not to draw attention. She hovered by the alley beside the diner, glancing over her shoulder, then reached into the metal trash bin. His heart lurched. She pulled out a paper bag, opened it, sniffed it, and, finding it acceptable, began to eat. No hesitation. No shame. Just hunger. And Daniel watched the whole time, frozen, not from the cold, but from something deeper. He wasn't the kind of man to intervene. Not anymore. He used to be someone else, before the divorce, before the injury, before the layoffs. He used to help. But now, he told himself, he was just surviving. Still, something about her wouldn't let him look away. She ate like someone who hadn't had a real meal in days, maybe weeks. Every bite looked like it took effort, as if her body had to remember what food was. Daniel gripped the steering wheel, a silent battle raging inside. After 10 minutes that felt like a lifetime, she dropped the empty bag back in the trash, wiped her mouth with the sleeve of her oversized coat, and turned to walk away. That's when he opened his door. He didn't have a plan, just an impulse. "Hey," he called. She stopped, but didn't turn around. "You hungry?" The question hung in the air between them. She turned slowly, her face guarded, her eyes sunken but defiant. "No," she said. "I'm fine." But Daniel wasn't. He crossed the street, gestured toward the diner. "Come on. My treat. No strings. Just food." For a moment, she looked like she might run. Then something softened in her face, some fragile hope that hadn't been completely extinguished. She nodded. Inside the diner, they sat across from each other in a booth that smelled like coffee and grilled cheese. She gave her name as Lila, though Daniel doubted that was her real name. He didn't press. She ordered soup and toast, nothing fancy, and ate slowly this time, like she was savoring something sacred. He watched her, not just with his eyes, but with a soul that was waking up from a long sleep. She told him fragments. She'd been living on the street since the shelter closed, working part-time at a laundry until they let her go for sleeping in the break room. She had no family, at least none she spoke of. "People see you like this," she said, staring at her spoon, "and they think you're trash too." Her voice cracked, but her eyes stayed dry. Daniel didn't know what to say. So he just listened. When the waitress brought pie, he pushed a slice toward her. "Eat it while it's warm." She smiled, barely. "You're not from around here, are you?" "Born and raised," he said. "I just haven't been paying attention." That night, he gave her his truck to sleep in, told her the heater worked if she turned it on every hour. He watched her curl up in the passenger seat with the blanket he kept behind the seat for emergencies. Somehow, this felt like one. The next morning, she was gone. But on the dash was a note, written on the back of a receipt. It said only, "Thank you for seeing me." Daniel read it 3 times. That simple sentence felt heavier than anything he'd carried in years. He couldn't explain it, but something had shifted. He started keeping an eye out, first for her, then for others. He began volunteering at the community kitchen once a week, then twice. The faces changed, but the stories didn't. People who had been invisible, reduced to statistics or shrugged off burdens. People who, like Lila, just needed someone to see them. Months passed. Winter turned to spring. Daniel found purpose again, not in big acts, but in quiet ones, offering food, listening without judgment, remembering names. He never saw Lila again. But every now and then, he'd find little signs, graffiti with the word hope painted delicately under bridges, a scarf tied to a bench with a note that read, "For you." Maybe it was her, maybe it wasn't. It didn't matter. What mattered was what she'd taught him, that seeing someone, truly seeing them, could be the most radical kind of kindness. One morning, a man at the shelter said, "You saved my life, Dan." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't save anybody," he said. "I just remembered what it means to be human." And that was the truth. We're all just a few bad days away from needing help. But kindness, once given, multiplies. It lights the dark. It feeds the soul. And sometimes, it starts with something as simple as noticing a woman eating from a trash can and choosing not to look away.